So now for the rest of this tape, we're going to discuss not only the particular details of your horoscope as is evident from my vantage point, but we'll also discuss the specific questions that you've asked, and I have them in front of me now as well. So I'm going to speak in some technical terms because I think that you have some basic understanding of Jyotish, and that's good, because then we can talk about things more specifically. Now, in your chart, according to the birth data given, which was March 24th, 1975, at 5:15 p.m. in Deventer, Netherlands, the Lagna, or the ascendant, is 23 degrees, 31 minutes of Leo, which is the constellation of Purvashada. Is Purva Falguni. Purva Falguni is a Venusian-ruled nakshatra, and with the lord of that nakshatra, namely Venus, being placed in the 9th house, we get very specific directives as to the destiny in this lifetime. When we speak of the lord of the rising nakshatra, there is a book called the Satya Jatakam by the sage Satyacharya, in which not only the lord of the rising nakshatra, but the lord of the lunar nakshatra are to be taken as very important to indicate the lifelong destiny of the individual. So Venus rules the rising nakshatra in your chart, and it's in the 9th house, which is the house of the guru and the truth-seeking and the quest for higher consciousness in the birth chart, and it's also in the 9th house of the Navamsa chart also. In case you're not familiar with the Navamsa is the 9th harmonic divisional chart that we use in Vedic astrology. It's very important to judge. If you're a student of Jyotish, Jyotish is the formal word for Vedic astrology. If you're a student of Jyotish, always study the Navamsa chart, because planets which are strong or weak or otherwise in the Navamsa chart have a very great bearing on how that planet will express in the lifetime of the individual. There are some astrologers, particularly South Indian astrologers, who say that the Navamsa planets and the Navamsa chart are even more important than the birth chart. And experience holds that there's a lot of credibility to those ideas. Anyway, I will refer to your Navamsa chart and the planets in your Navamsa chart frequently throughout this reading, because no Vedic horoscope should be read or interpreted without it. So Venus in the 9th house is very powerful. Now you have, for Leo ascendant, you have the planet Mars, which is the Yoga Karaka planet. Yoga Karaka means a planet that rules a Kendra house and a trine house, that is an angular and a trinal house. So for Leo rising, the Yoga Karaka planet is Mars. Now this Yoga Karaka planet is capable, if it is forming strong combinations with other planets, which it happens to be in your chart, the Yoga Karaka Mars in your chart, which rules the 4th and the 9th house, is in its exaltation, and it is also aspecting Venus. There's a very strong connection between Mars and Venus. Venus rules the rising star, as I mentioned, and in the chart Venus rules the 10th house, which is the house of karma, or the house of career. So this is a pretty powerful a Raja Yoga that you have. And by Raja Yoga meaning the combination of planets which can produce good or ill effects depending on the nature of planets. Now Raja Yoga is a great yoga which puts the individual on a status higher than the average person, and we have to see how the Raja Yoga is going to play out by which planets and which houses are involved in the yoga. Now, when you see that the Lord of the Rising Star is in the 9th house, first of all, initiation by a guru, devoting yourself to the path of spirituality, study of scriptures, study of higher subject matter, relating to self-realization is the general or lifelong path. Now that you see that planet Venus, the Lord of the 10th house, in the 9th house, and being aspected by the exalted 9th house ruler. This is a very powerful Raj Yoga for you're performing the karma or performing the work in this lifetime of a devotee. Now, very often, and I've seen many charts of devotees, having been a devotee myself, when I first studied the Vedic Astrology, I was the head pujari in the Seattle, Washington temple. And when I started my studies of Vedic astrology, I saw the charts of many devotees, and it seemed that in those charts, the 9th house was very powerful, and there were strong yogas between the Lord of the Ascendant, or the Lord of the Ascending Star, and the 9th house, or the ruler of the 9th house. And so this means that for most devotees, and I'm not speaking generally here, I'm speaking specifically with reference to your chart, it means that you're going to be a lifelong devotee of Krishna. And I should remind you here that being a lifelong devotee of Krishna is the essence or the substance of destiny in this lifetime. And how do we specifically know that you are a Vaishnava? Well, Venus, which is the ruler of the house of career, and as well as the ruler of the rising nakshatra. Nakshatra means constellation. Venus is concerned with love and devotion in the highest level, and therefore represents Vaishnavas. The specific planet relating to Vishnu, and therefore concerning Vaishnavas, is Mercury. And Mercury happens to be placed strongly in your chart in the 7th house, and from which it is making, of course, a strong aspect to the ascendant. This is, these are very strong combinations for Vaishnava devotional service or devotional worship. Now, it appears from various angles of vision that you will, in fact, become a householder in this lifetime. It would be unlikely that you would not be a householder. And I can explain why that is. And this is, I'm just jumping ahead of here, where you have asked the question, will you remain a brahmachari or will you become a grihasta? And your question is it advisable, which is the best advice, to either become a grihasta or to remain brahmachari? Now, certainly when Mars is in its exaltation, like it is in your chart, there's a considerable amount of passion, and by passion we mean that a strong libido, there are strong recuperative powers and strong immune system, as well as a strong good blood, and therefore this necessitates that you be active throughout life, that you be physically active, as in sports or as in exercise. When Mars is in the strong aspect to Venus, as it is in your chart, sexuality becomes sexuality, or the desire for sexuality needs to be fulfilled, and the only way to fulfill it, of course, according to religious principles, is to become a grihasta. Now, later on in the reading, I'm going to give you timings, that is to say, timings of when it is likely that you'll enter grihasta life. Likely also that later on in your life you'll take to the sannyas order, but that's not until later on. In the meantime, in the beginning, that is in the interim period, it's better that you enter grihasta life because of the strong relationship between Mars, which rules passion and libido, and Venus, which rules the wife or the fair sex or women in general. So there is a strong inclination toward women. And it would be safer and more balanced for you to enter into grihasta life. Coming to your Navamsa chart, in the Navamsa chart, Mars also rules the Lagna, or rules the ascendant. And it's conjoined, that is, in the same sign with Venus in the 9th house. So joining the Lagna Lord and the 7th Lord, which has to do with marriage or the marriage partner, It is ruled by the natural karaka of wife, which is Venus. When you join the ascendant lord and the seventh lord together in the Navamsa chart, that is a combination for marriage. And it is likely that the marriage will take place during the sub-period of Mercury, within the major period of Venus, and again later on the tape, on the other side of the tape, I'm going to give you specific timings for these events when I discuss the dashas operative for you.